Right now on WFMY News 2 at 6, local reaction to an historic day. We will have perspective from local leaders, everyday people who are witnessing history, and Governor Cooper now on the short list for vice president.
And we'll take the next few minutes to talk about the impact here at home before sending it back to CBS News for continued breaking news coverage. Let's get right to it. President Joe Biden will be a one-term president.
Yeah, he announced today he does not plan to run for re-election. Minutes later, he endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to be the Democratic Party's nominee. Biden shared a statement just before 2 p.m. today.
He said, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." He continued, "I believe today what I always have, that there is nothing America can't do when we do it together." And Biden says he plans to address the country later this week to discuss the decision in greater detail. And when he walks away in January, Biden will close 50 years of public service. He first got elected to the U.S. Senate representing Delaware in 1972. Biden held that seat until he won the vice presidency with President Barack Obama in 2008. He briefly stepped away from public office during former President Donald Trump's first term. He returned to government life when he won the 2020 presidential election. And Vice President Kamala Harris has President Biden's endorsement to succeed him in the upcoming election.
Shortly after the news broke, she said she intends to earn and win the Democratic presidential nomination. She wrote, "Over the past year, I have traveled across the country talking with Americans about the clear choice in this momentous election. And that is what I will continue to do in the days and weeks ahead. I will do everything in my power to unite the Democratic Party and unite our nation."
However, this is far from being locked in. She still has to formally secure the nomination, and how that process will play out is still unclear.
Yeah, the Democratic National Convention begins in just about a month in Chicago. The DNC chair says the party will work in the coming days to outline a process that falls in line with party rules and procedures. He committed to a transparent and orderly process to select a new nominee.
Vice President Harris was just in Greensboro about a week and a half ago and was in Fayetteville last Thursday. So far this year, she has campaigned in our state 7 times.
Former President Trump is also reacting tonight. In a statement today, he wrote, "Joe Biden was not fit to run for president and is clearly not fit to serve and never was. We will suffer greatly because of his presidency, but we will remedy the damage he has done very quickly." Trump will be in our state this week. He's got a rally in Charlotte on Wednesday. Now, since that presidential debate a couple weeks ago, CBS News did a poll with hypothetical matchups. It found that Trump has a 3-point lead over Vice President Harris. Expect those numbers to fluctuate now that Harris has Biden's endorsement.
And the next obvious question is, who will be Harris's running mate if she locks down this nomination? Governor Cooper's name is one of several names floating around.
His name first popped up last week. At the time, he dismissed any speculation that he could be on the ticket. In a statement today, he didn't address that rumor, but instead wrote, "When our democracy faced danger, President Biden stood strong as the rarest type of leader who could help us forge ahead with a vision to repair our country's soul. I'm deeply grateful to call President Joe Biden my friend, and I thank him from the bottom of my heart for his service to our great nation." At this point, here is the list of potential running mates for Kamala Harris. Other notable names include California Governor Gavin Newsom, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Reacted to Biden stepping out of the race. Let's get through some of them. Former President Barack Obama posted a statement saying, "Joe Biden has been one of America's most consequential presidents, as well as a dear friend and partner to me. Today, we also have been reminded again that he's a patriot of our highest order." And the Clintons said, by any measure, he has advanced our founders' charge to build a more perfect union and has own stated goal of restoring our soul of the nation. And Congresswoman Kathy Manning said President Biden is a true patriot who has made a difficult decision for the good of our country. His legacy is secure, and we Democrats must keep fighting to protect all of the progress we have made. And we also heard from both candidates from North Carolina Governor tonight. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson said, while the Democratic Party is imploding, Republicans in North Carolina and across the nation are united behind President Trump to deliver the American people, to make our community safer, life more affordable, and create opportunities for everyone. And Attorney General Josh Stein said President Biden has put the American people first throughout his historic career as senator, vice president, and president. He went on to say, President Biden is a true patriot. His decision today exemplifies his commitment to always putting the country before himself.
We also just heard from House Representative Pricey Harrison from Guilford County. She is a Democratic delegate for the DNC next month. She praised Biden's record and lifetime of service to our country.
I guess it's a mixture of heartache and sadness because the president has had an incredible legacy in his 50 years of public service and his three and a half plus years as president of the United States. And I hate to see him go this way, but at the same time, he's taken a bold step and to put the country over his self-interest.
Today's announcement caps a tumultuous several weeks for President Biden. The concern about his age ramped up after a poor performance at last month's debate.
Biden struggled throughout the night. He later said he was worn down from campaigns and was getting over a cold. And a week later, he held a high-stakes primetime news conference. He defended his record and insisted he would stay in the race. The calls to drop out kept growing. A recent Associated Press poll found that 2/3 of Democrats wanted Biden to step aside. Just this last week, Biden has had to step away from the campaign trail after catching COVID.
As of Thursday, there were 20 House Democrats calling for Biden to exit the race. A dozen others joined the call the very next day. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had all expressed concerns during private conversations with the president. Democrats at all levels of government are reacting to today's news and looking ahead to what's next. I spoke with the head of the Guilford County Democratic Party this afternoon about what changes for them between now and November.
Not a thing. We're already been out knocking doors, making phone calls, writing postcards. We've been doing that since April. The only thing that's going to change is the name on the ticket. Democrats are out to win this, and we've already been working toward that. So we now put our energies toward electing the next president, Kamala Harris.
Kathy Kirkpatrick also told me Governor Cooper would be an amazing pick for vice president.
President Joe Biden stepping down is historic in plenty of ways. One of them, it means the U.S. will have back-to-back one-term presidents for the first time since the 1960s.
Yeah, if Trump is reelected, it'd be the first time since the 1800s that we've had at least 3 consecutive one-term presidents. The last time we saw this, John F. Kennedy and Lyndon B. Johnson. LBJ stepped in for JFK after his assassination. He later decided not to run for a second term. Richard Nixon followed him. Now, to recap this historic day for our country, President Biden announced just before 2 this afternoon that he was not running for re-election. Minutes later, he endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris as his replacement.
And her nomination is not yet set in stone. Party rules allow the Democratic Party to pick another candidate. The nominee is decided by delegates at the Democratic National Convention, which is next month.
Coming up in just a couple of minutes, we're going to pick the brain of a local political science expert about what happens next and what this means for the election. We'll be right back.